The phone rang at 8:47 in the morning. I remember the exact time because I had just clocked in at the café. Still reaching around my waist to tie my apron strings, when my cell phone buzzed against the counter. I glanced at the screen. It was the school. Marcus's school. My stomach dropped before I even answered. Ms. Ellen? This is Patricia from the front office at Riverside Elementary. I'm so sorry to bother you at work, but there's a man here. He says he knows your son. He's asking to see Marcus. I didn't say anything for a moment. I just stood there, apron half tied, the smell of fresh coffee curling through the air, and my heart slamming against my ribs like it was trying to get out. A stranger, at my son's school, asking for my child. I dropped the apron on the counter, grabbed my keys, and ran. To understand why that phone call hit me the way it did, you have to understand what our life looked like back then. Marcus and I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment on the north side of Bridgeport, one of Chicago's older working-class neighborhoods. The kind of place where the sidewalks are cracked, but the neighbors still wave good morning. Where the corner store has been run by the same family for 30 years. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours, and I had worked quietly and steadily to keep it that way. I was 42 years old, and I was doing it alone. Marcus's father left when Marcus was just 3 years old. There was no dramatic goodbye, no explosive argument. He simply faded. One day he was there, and then gradually, piece by piece, he wasn't. By the time Marcus started kindergarten, I had stopped waiting for him to come back. So it was just the two of us. And I carried that the way most single mothers do. Quietly, completely, without letting the seams show on the outside. I worked 2 jobs. Mornings at a cafe called the Birchwood Cup, where I made lattes and warmed muffins for the breakfast crowd. 3 evenings a week, I worked the register at a dry cleaner 2 blocks from our apartment. Between the two, I kept the lights on, kept the refrigerator stocked, and kept Marcus in clean sneakers. There wasn't much room for anything else. Every weekday morning, I walked Marcus to school. Riverside Elementary was only 6 blocks away. But those 6 blocks told a story. We passed a barber shop, a nail salon, a small church with a hand-painted sign out front, and on the corner of 31st and Wallace, right beside a bus shelter with a cracked plastic roof, there was always a man. He sat on a flattened cardboard box, his back against the chain-link fence, a paper cup on the ground beside him. He wore the same army green jacket every single day, no matter the weather. His face was weathered and deeply lined, like bark on an old tree. He never called out to anyone, never held a sign. He just sat there, watching the street with quiet, steady eyes. I didn't know his name. I didn't let myself want to know it. I'm not proud of that now. But at the time, I told myself it was practical. I was a woman raising a child alone, and I already had more than enough to carry. So I made a habit of not looking. Head slightly down, pace a little faster, just keep moving. Then one Monday morning, Marcus stopped. It was mid-October. The air had just begun to turn cold. The kind of mornings where your breath comes out in small, white clouds and dry leaves crunch under your shoes on the sidewalk. I was holding Marcus's hand, walking the same path we always walked. He was chattering about his 3rd-grade science class. They were going to grow bean sprouts, and he wanted to grow purple ones. And he was very serious about this. I was half listening. That sounds great, buddy, I said. And then his hand went light in mine. He had stopped. I turned around. Marcus was standing directly in front of the man. His feet together, his small hand already reaching into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a crumpled $1 bill. He held it out toward the man.
Here, you can have this.
That was it. No explanation, no hesitation. Just those 5 quiet words, in the most matter-of-fact voice a 9-year-old could manage. The man looked at the bill for a long moment. Then slowly, very slowly, he reached out and took it. He didn't say a word. Marcus walked back to me, took my hand again, and kept going as if nothing had happened. He picked right back up on the purple bean sprout conversation. I didn't say anything. I just walked. But something had shifted inside me. I felt proud of my son in a way that made my chest ache. And at the same time, I felt something else. A quiet, nameless unease. The man knew our faces now. He would recognize us. I told myself that was why I felt unsettled. I told myself it was just caution. But deep down, I think I already knew it was something else. A mirror I didn't quite want to look into. The next morning, the corner was empty. No cardboard box. No paper cup. No army green jacket. Just bare sidewalk. I found myself slowing down slightly as we passed. And then catching myself, and speeding back up. The day after that, he still wasn't there. I should have felt relieved. Logically, I knew that. But there was something hollow about it instead. Like a piece of furniture you never paid attention to had suddenly been moved. And now the room felt wrong in a way you couldn't quite name. On the third morning, Marcus passed the empty corner without a word. But I noticed his eyes drift to that spot and linger for just a second. He didn't ask any questions. He just absorbed it, the way children sometimes do. Quietly, completely. That morning, I had been at the café for less than 30 minutes. When my phone rang, Riverside Elementary School. I ran every scenario in my head on the way to the school. Who could it be? Why? How did anyone know Marcus? Could it be that man? No, that was impossible. A man sitting on a cardboard box on 31st Street wouldn't show up at an elementary school. He had taken $1. That was all. People don't follow up on $1. But when I pushed through the front doors of Riverside Elementary and turned down the hallway toward the principal's office, I stopped dead. He was there, clean shaven now, a shirt that was worn but carefully pressed. He was sitting upright in one of the hallway chairs. And when he saw me, he rose slowly to his feet. But something was wrong. Something was not what it seemed. My eyes caught it without me meaning to look. The sleeve of his old jacket had shifted slightly as he stood, and there, just at the edge of his wrist, was a watch. Not the kind of watch a man on a cardboard box wears. Heavy, understated, unmistakably expensive. And his shoes. Scuffed and dusty on the outside, yes. But the shape of them, the quality of the leather, I had seen shoes like that before. On the attorneys who came into the café for their morning meetings. On the developers who sat in the back booth and talked about city contracts. I blinked. He looked at me calmly and said, in a low, steady voice,
"Your son gave me something a lot bigger than $1, ma'am."
I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. This man was not who I thought he was. Not even close. So who, exactly, was he? The story continues in part 2. If you'd like to stay with us for the rest of Ellen's journey, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for listening.